So we finally got the Project Resistance trailer, and it got me thinking. I wanted to be a detective when I was a kid. I am a journalist now. Why don't I put those skills to good use and contribute to the greater good of the world by overanalyzing a trailer for a video game? Those 3 years of university and crippling debt are finally starting to pay off. Just so you know, you're going to see the same Project Resistance trailer over and over again, so you have that to look forward to, I guess. First, let me get into a little bit of background. Capcom originally announced they were working on a new Resident Evil title on their social media and online as well. And they posted a soon-to-be-released video premiere thing to accompany that. The first theory was it could possibly be the Resident Evil 3 remake. Since the success of the Resident Evil 2 remake, many fans thought Capcom would be working on the sequel straight away, which, kind of makes sense. But I never believed it was going to be the case, considering how damn long it took the RE2 remake to come out. But that theory was quickly dispelled when the screenshots released. Some people also thought it could be a new entry in the Outbreak series, which were 2 titles released on the PlayStation 2 that added multiplayer to the classic Resident Evil formula. It was way ahead of its time and it had its merits, but it also hasn't seen a new entry since the second game release in December 2003. This was the theory I was most excited for. I think the idea of another Outbreak game on modern hardware with the advances of online play is a fucking no-brainer. Just like a zombie. And the final theory was the game would be a 4 versus 1 co-op shooter, but how exactly that would work wasn't concrete. But now the Project Resistance trailer has finally been released, we have a better idea about how this game is going to play, and as a horror YouTuber, it is my job to accurately predict every aspect of the game based off just over a minute worth of CGI trailer. About that trailer, what do we see? Well, let me break it down for you. Let me just put on my glasses here. Yep, there we go, cool. Alright, the trailer starts off with some shady looking dude walking into a room full of monitors and computers. He begins a 5-minute countdown timer and the camera pans to a screen showing 4 people who look like every character in an 80s slasher film. They are walking around a laboratory with guns and melee weapons in their hands. Climate change discourse has really gotten out of hand, but who could fucking blame them because we're all gonna die? Shady man flips a switch and locks the exit door. All of a sudden, zombies begin to shamble their decaying selves into the room with the 4 people. Lots of zombie killing ensues, and just to be more of a dick, the shady guy unleashes a licker onto the group. They shoot an explosive that kills the licker, and the previously locked door unlocks. Thinking the coast is clear, the group begin to head towards the door when the shady guy opens up this technological mumbo-jumbo surrounded by smoke, which reveals a pair of Nintendo Power Gloves. He puts them on and they light up red. The trailer cuts to Mr. Milady himself, Mr. X, but his eyes glow red, the same color as the gloves. Ooh. What that suggests is the shady guy is in direct control of the monster. Mr. X walks towards the group, acting all intimidating and shit, and the trailer ends. Okay, theorizing time. If you follow me on Twitter, you know I already boasted about a poll I took guessing what this game could be, and I voted for a 4v1 game. And if you aren't following me on Twitter at Sunderland Spook, you are missing out on quality content such as shitposting and constantly retweeting Silent Hill memes. Anyway, back to the actual subject of the video. So from the offset, this game looks like a 4v1 multiplayer title set in the Resident Evil universe. It showed the characters exploring a laboratory, so that is at least one confirmed location the player will, explore. But since there are heaps of iconic locations in Resident Evil, the game could also include the mansion or Raccoon City. But these would have to be reconstructed in the lab because these places, well... Now I don't know about you, but I assume players will be able to control one of the 4 characters. Maybe, maybe not, guess we'll never know. But let me move forward as if we do know. So each character looks different and they hold different weapons. Some hold guns while others hold melee weapons. Now this could go in one of 2 ways. Players pick up weapons throughout the game, or each of these characters are classes who have specific weapons they specialize in and abilities. I'm going to assume that it will be a mixture of both, but with some characters being better with certain weapons or items than others. I think the player will control these characters from a third-person perspective, and playing them will feel like the Resident Evil 2 remake, which did feel pretty good. Oh yeah, fuck, that feels good, that feels good. But that is the pretty obvious part of the trailer. Now we move on to the more interesting thing. The shady guy seems to be controlling everything that's going on in the locations the characters explore. At the start, he begins a timer, which could either suggest that rounds will only last 5 minutes, or the players controlling the survivors will have 5 minutes to clear each specific room. The former could be a great way of getting players in and out of matches fast and keep the pace going, while the latter could mean each round may take longer, but the difficulty could be ramped up in each room, mainly by the player controlling the shady guy who seems to have access to monsters and traps. The trailer showed that he released a licker and threw down a bomb, so my theory is that the Shady Guy player can place certain monsters and traps in the map for the other players to overcome. Maybe an evolution of the director from Left 4 Dead, but actually controlled by a player. Maybe zombies can be placed in predetermined areas, but only a limited amount, and can be unleashed on command. Lots of maybes here. I'm not really confident in my theories, and I'm fucking terrified of criticism. The limited amount of zombies means that the Shady Guy can't just fill up a room with zombies, but it also means they would have to carefully plan where they're going to place them in order to catch the survivors off guard. This could keep every encounter for the survivors fresh and interesting, while providing some tactical planning for the player being the Shady Guy. Also, since the trailer showed Mr. X being controlled directly, I think that the Shady Guy player will be able to play as iconic enemies from the Resident Evil series. This could be controlled from either a third person or first person perspective. Personally though, I think first person will be the coolest way to do it, and will distinguish the playstyle from the survivors. Capcom already has experience with first person melee combat, as that was the main focus of the End of Zoe DLC for Resident Evil 7. I think it would make for a brutal and more intimate experience. Hopefully you don't just get to play as Mr. X, maybe you get to play as some hunters, or maybe even Nemesis, or I don't know, other enemies. I'm not fucking familiar with Resident Evil that much, but hey, maybe the Goopy guys. They were fun. Fucking hated the Goopy guys. I doubt these enemies will always be accessible due to balancing, but I think it could be reserved for specific moments, or maybe they are on a cooldown timer, or maybe when the Shady Guy player achieves a certain goal. I hope it's a mixture of all three, as that would keep the survivors on their toes when playing each level. I think the obvious goal of being the Shady Guy will be to wipe out the survivors before they reach the exit. And obviously, the goal of survivors is to get to the exit. I know there's a lot of these games going around at the moment, such as Friday the 13th and Dead by Daylight, where a group of players are against one specific monster thing and they have to survive or try to escape, but I think the incorporation of this like shady dude could add a new angle to this type of game, and it could make it a bit more fresh and exciting. And that is my theory about this game. I think the trailer looked pretty interesting, and I've been wanting an online Resident Evil game since Capcom brought the series back to the horror genre instead of focusing on action, which is dumb to say since this game looks action focused, but I'm not known for being consistent. With the run that Capcom has been having with most of their franchises, I think they know what they are doing, what their fans want, while also introducing something new and fresh. But what do you guys think? Do you think my theory is on point? Or do you say something that I didn't? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time when I finally finish this fucking review. Stop announcing horror games so I don't have to make videos about them. Cool. Thanks, developers. Bye.